the ages of 20 to 22, I was in 4 very serious car accidents. And it was the 4th one that did me in that actually, you know, I was bedridden for, and actually truly shifted my life at that point. Can anybody relate to that, where things in life keep happening and happening and happening until it hits you upside the head, and then you realize, oh, there's something to be, everyone's shivered. Oh God, what happened? And so that's what happened to me. At the age of 22, I was hit by a car as a pedestrian and nearly lost my life. And before everything leading up to the car accident, it's important that I tell you a little bit about who I am and who I was. And so growing up all my life, I was always an overachiever. I got straight A's, I was an athlete, and I played a very high-level sport that allowed me to earn a full soccer scholarship at Central Michigan University. So I got to go to school on a soccer scholarship. And I was obsessed with working out. I was obsessed with fitness. You know, I'm not going to get into the story of why, but there are things I went through in my life that got me really obsessive. And fast forward to the car accident that got me bedridden. You know, I remember I was sitting in my apartment with my roommate, and it was March 21st, and I looked out the window, and the sun was beaming into the apartment, and because I was inside, it felt warm, it felt like a summer day, and I was so tempted to go for a jog. So I decided to skip class, and I decided to go for a jog. And my roommate and I had an agreement that we would always lock the door, you know, when we were the last ones to leave, not to leave the apartment open. So I told her, you know, I don't want to bring my keys, so it's okay if I go for a jog and I go for 20 minutes, are you going to be home? And she said, yeah, you know, I have to go to the bank, but I'll wait for you. So I said, okay, cool. So I went for my jog, enjoyed my jog, and I remember it was exactly like 19 minutes, just under 20 minutes. And I arrived back home, and as I'm walking towards my house, I saw my roommate across the street running over to the bank. And I was like, where are you going? And she's like, oh, sorry, I thought I could make it back on time. And if anybody who knows me knows that I have no concept of time, so she actually didn't believe that I'd be back in 20 minutes. So I had to go back and cross the street, go to the intersection, cross the street. And as I crossed the street to go get the key from her, she couldn't get the second syllable of my name out. And that's when I just, before I got hit by a car. And I remember in that moment, very vividly, this was about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And I remember vividly, once I got hit by a car, I remember being up in the air, and I remember my body doing a 360, my eyes rolling in the back of my head, and I actually remember my body feeling like a dummy. And I also remember when I fell on the ground and I landed, I remember not feeling any physical impact. It was a complete out-of-body experience. And I'm not sure if this is an American thing, but it took 45 minutes for the ambulance to come. And it was on campus, it was a very, very busy street. So my roommate, after being in shock, I think she was more traumatized than I was, thinking that I was dead, ran over and had to make sure I didn't get run over by a car as we waited 45 minutes for the ambulance to come. And you can imagine laying on the ground for 45 minutes after getting hit by a car, and I remember thinking to myself, holy shit, I just got hit by a car. And I had no idea if I was paralyzed. I had no idea if I was gonna die of internal bleeding within the next couple of hours. But I do remember telling myself, the last thing I need is to be stressed, so I just need to be calm and just relaxed. And as I waited patiently for the ambulance to come. So the ambulance finally came, and they started checking me out and, you know, checking my legs, my arms, starting with my arm. My arm was killing me, so I was like, there goes one limb. Okay, so I know I broke something at least. And, you know, fast forward, they took me to the hospital, and I ended up finding out that I had broken my arm. And so today, I actually have a metal plate in my left arm, and obviously I survived the accident so far. It was 2 years post-accident where I really, really suffered and grieved my identity as an athlete. My life completely shifted. You know, the lifestyle after I got hit by a car, I couldn't work out without feeling extreme pain, without feeling inflammation. You know, it was just, everything that I've ever known was taken away from me. And all I could do was go into my body, put my mind where the pain was, breathe into it, and just stretch. That's the only thing that felt good. At the same time, I had graduated and decided to become a personal trainer. And as I was personal training my clients, again, you know, the pressures of, I gotta make sure I stay fit if I'm telling these people to train and I can't train. And I just couldn't work out. Everything hurt. The experience of training just was completely different. And so I suffered a lot of, you know, depression and anxiety and everything that, you know, that comes with the grieving process of losing your identity all your life. And so in the 2 years, as I was going to my body and stretching and doing the only things that could feel good, all of a sudden, weird things started to happen to me. I remember getting into moments of stretching and getting into my body, and I would randomly start crying. Like tears would come out, not knowing why. And I remember having very vivid memories of my childhood. And I was like, what the hell? Why am I even thinking of these things? That's so weird. And all these things started to happen to me during the times where I was stretching, when I really got deeply into my body. And I didn't tell anybody because I thought it was so weird, because I didn't even understand it. And I wasn't choosing to, you know, be emotional, but it was just, you know, logically I can think about, you know, the things that I was remembering. I had a very tough upbringing, and I'm not going to go into that story, but there's a lot that I've been through that was starting to surface. And it wasn't until I came across a book called The Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Myss, where the book talks about how we store emotions in our bodies, that everything started to make sense to me. And I started to realize that I was actually surfacing emotions that were in my body that I was carrying, that I didn't even know that I was carrying. But what was most interesting for me, what I realized was, as this was happening, and as I started to realize what was happening, which made me go into my body more intentionally, I actually started to notice myself change in my way of being and how I was showing up in life naturally. I wasn't actually trying. I remember being in situations and walking away and being like, that's so weird, that used to piss me off, that didn't even piss me off. Or I remember feeling more peaceful, feeling more joyful. I just remember starting to feel better, people were complimenting me, and I actually wasn't working out or doing anything. And I definitely made the connection between what I was doing and what was happening. It was almost kind of like, have you guys ever been in a room where the fan turns off and you didn't even realize it was on until it turns off? It was the same thing. It's like, I had judgment, I had anger, I had all these things in me that I didn't even know were there until they left me. And, you know, over time, as a personal trainer, as I started to train my clients, I started to realize as I was training, like, as these emotions were leaving me, I started to feel my body differently in ways I never even felt my whole athletic career. I started to actually really feel myself in all aspects, right down to a cellular level. I was so in tune with my body, and you would think that an athlete would be in tune with their body. I was nowhere near in tune with my body. It was more just like ibuprofen, fight through the pain, you know, and just make sure you make your times, and that's it. And but I noticed a correlation that the more I started to connect to my body, and the more these emotions would come out, the more I was embodying who I always knew myself to be. And I started to work with my clients when I was doing personal training, and I started to realize, oh my gosh, they probably don't even feel their body. And I started to take a different approach, and I allowed my training approach to start to evolve and try to get my clients to really be mindful of what they were feeling in their body. And over time, it evolved to, you know, my life's mission and my life purpose, where now I help people to, you know, embody their most authentic self by letting go of the things that they're not, and the things that they've been carrying that they don't even know that they're carrying. And I feel so honored and blessed to be able to help people, you know, live a better quality of life, not by having them control the circumstances that they're in, but just allowing them to show up in a way that makes them stronger, and allows them to be more courageous in life, and respond in a way that serves them and serves the people in their lives. And so, what I want to say and how I want to end this is I want to challenge you guys, and I want to ask that you guys go home tonight and challenge you guys for at least the next 7 days to wake up, to go to bed every night, and to wake up every single morning. Upon awakening and right before you go to bed, to close your eyes and put your mind in your body and truly be present to your existence, and take deep breaths and just allow the miracles of what that does to unfold as you discover your most authentic self and live the life that we all truly desire, and live being who we all know we really are. So, thank you.